like a few minutes ago, these two measurements. So if you put this kind of every same distance, you have a same degree change, you put it on the globe, it works perfectly, and we are all looking in the same direction. On a flat Earth, this is a third picture, taking the same angles, we wouldn't look in the same direction at all. And
Oh,
for the
okay.
flat
So I
Earth,
didn't even
and
realize
your
your claim.
example with the light pole or the tree, it's the second picture that I posted, the middle one, where we have not 15 degrees every 9,000 meters or nautical, no, 9,030 nautical miles. It's less, or it's more in the beginning and then getting less.
Okay, but you guys don't claim it's an exact 60 nautical miles per degree. That's an average.
Now that's correct, because we are not claiming that the Earth is a perfect globe.
Okay, so then wait, but the argument was if you do this and it's a perfect 60 every time, the angle never changes. That was your argument, but now you just claimed
If
the angle does
if we,
change and this is just the average of the angles.
so the thing is, if we would do it, and it would be exactly the same 1 degree per 90 per 60 nautical miles, then the Earth would be a perfect sphere. We know that the Earth is not a perfect sphere because it's not exactly that amount. It's a little bit more oblate on during the equator, right? So it's a little bit
No, not
wider.
according to your math. No, not at all.
No, absolutely.
No, no,
This
no.
is just a
You have pi equaling 2 according to your math. You have 6,200 miles from the equator to the North Pole.
I
Right?
know.
It's that,
On
right? Yeah.
this on
So
this on this
if I treat that as a radius, right? And then the circumference of the equator is 24,901 miles. I have to make pi equal 2. That's a perfect sphere. That's not an averaged out thing. What are you talking about, dude?
So
Do you mean
the
by pi
Earth is
equal
as
to?
close on its perfect sphere as the Earth is kind of without topography. We have topography and we have difference in this perfectness of the sphere, but it doesn't absolutely does not matter on
Okay,
these
well then you've
measurements.
thrown out
This degree.
geometry. Well then you
No,
just
we're
threw
not.
out the geometry because
What?
yeah, in geometry parallel lines never intersect. You don't have any parallel lines in your world, according to
Why
what you're
not?
saying.
Why
Because you
why
live on a
do you say
sphere.
we don't have parallel lines?
Because you live on a sphere.
We can still have parallel lines on a sphere. What are you talking about?
Wait, how does that happen? How do you have parallel lines on a sphere?
You mean on the surface of a sphere?
Correct.
Can't have straight
Do you
You
lines
live
on
still have
globe
somewhere?
model.
parallel lines on the
Do you
surface
live?
of
Don't
a
Do
know
you live
your
sphere.
own
somewhere
mouth.
else?
You
Second,
can't have straight
stop.
lines on globe
You
model.
can still have parallel lines on the sphere.
And
All
you
lines
can't
of
even draw a
longitude,
straight. You can't even draw a straight line.
all lines of latitude are parallel lines. They are all equidistant. This
No,
is the
those are called
Can I
the
draw a
concentric.
straight
latitude.
No,
line?
hold on. It might be the language barrier. Those are called concentric circles, Snooze. Those are
Yeah,
not.
concentric
But,
circles are
but do you?
parallel.
No. Parallel has a specific definition, and I
Yeah,
said
obviously
lines. I didn't
at
say
every point.
circles. I didn't say circles. I said lines. So this is where the contradiction is in your
Did you
model.
say
Okay. Do
straight
you agree
lines or
that
did you just say lines?
Do you agree the equator is a straight line?
This equator is a line. It's
A
not a
straight line.
straight line. It's a curved line. It's a line around a ball.
Wow. So you're a flat earther. So you think
No,
the equator is a
no,
circle?
I'm not. I'm not define in which terms you're talking. The thing is, we are not talking about the surface and the surface properties. So we would stay in Euclidean geometry. So our terms that
We
we
are when we're
use
talking about the
with
equator. We're talking about the surface.
if you talk about the claim that the equator is a straight line, you would be in spherical geometry. In Euclidean geometry, the equator is a circle. It's not a straight line.
Okay, yeah, but
And you asked
we
about
live in do
parallel
we
lines,
live in
by the way, Tora.
non-Euclidean or Euclidean geometry? Which one do we live in?
We live in three-dimensional space. We don't live in any geometry. You can describe three-dimensional space in two different kind of geometries, but that doesn't change
Okay.
anything.
Okay, so then the equator is a straight line that is a circle?
Tora, did you hear anything of what I said? So
Yeah,
first of
because
all,
so
we were
what you
talking,
just stated, dude,
Tora,
I posed you a
Tora.
question, bro. You have to answer the question now, okay? Is the equator a straight line that is a circle?
You have to ask a sensible question if you want a sensible answer.
So you disagree with the equator is a straight line?
The equator is in spherical geometry called a straight line. In Euclidean geometry, it's a circle. And the equator and all other latitude
about in
lines
reality?
are parallel.
How about in reality? What's the equator called?
The equator.
It's the equator. What the fuck?
Okay, yeah, it's called the
Reality is
equator.
described by terms. Terms
Okay,
have
cool.
meaning. And wait a second.
What's the definition of the equator?
Wait a second. Please. Reality is described by words. Words have meaning and context. If we're talking about geometry, you have to talk about which textbook you're using. Because if you're using Euclidean geometry, then the equator is not a straight line. It's a circle. If you're talking in another context, it's something else. So define, please, the context first, and that we are talking. And I would propose that we stay in Euclidean geometry because we are talking about stars and they don't exist in spherical geometry.
Well, my issue with this is concentric circles are not considered parallel in Euclidean geometry because they have curvature and they don't fit the definition of a straight, non-intersecting line.
You can have curves in Euclidean geometry.
You can have not straight lines that are parallel to each other.
No, that would be non-Euclidean geometry, and that would be something called a parallel curve. Or hang on, relax.
No,
bud.
you've got another one who doesn't understand Euclidean geometry. You can have curves in Euclidean geometry.
We don't need someone who's just like mocking and giggling constantly. I was in the middle of speaking. So in non-Euclidean geometry, those would be called parallel curves or parallel circles, and also in spherical geometry. But if you look up, are concentric circles considered parallel? You'll get the answer. Concentric circles are not considered parallel in Euclidean geometry because they have curvature.
Which answer is that?
True.
Okay, that's not a rebuttal.
So this picture that I just posted are parallel lines. They are not straight lines, that's true, but they are parallel.
Stupid shit Glovers have to argue about because they believe in a globe. You guys are saying dumb shit.
Jesse, shut up. You ran away an hour ago.
You guys say you can't draw straight lines. You're fucking ridiculous.
No, we don't
What is going on?
Stop trolling. You are not talking with us. So please stay there.
So we could take it to the literal application to the Earth. We have things called railroad tracks on the Earth, right? So you're saying one railroad track is shorter than the other. That's your claim. Do you have any measurements to provide to support that claim?
No, I don't. So of course, if you have a railroad track that goes in a circle, the inner track is of course shorter than the outer one.
Well, they all have to be going in a circle. All of your railroad tracks on the surface of a sphere have to be going in a circle.
No, they don't. They go zigzag. They go up and down, left and right all the time. They are not going in a circle.
I don't know if you understand what a sphere is when you say up and down, left and right. That doesn't matter, dude. Whatever direction they're going around.
I don't know what semantics games you are playing now, but hills exist in reality. And they go up and down a hill, and they go left curve and right curve, and they go
up and down and winding around. Now railroads are straight.
Jesse, shut the fuck up.
You agree longitude lines are parallel?
Everything's bending. You have to pretend railroad tracks are bending when they're built to be horizontal.
Don't you agree that longitude lines are the parallel lines that exist on the surface of a sphere?
Wasn't the latitude lines that are the parallel ones?
No, it would be the longitude lines by your definition, right? Of what? Because parallel lines don't exist on a sphere, right?
No, that's not true.
Parallel lines don't exist on a sphere unless you draw them longitudinally, and then they all intersect.
Not towards right, bro. Latitude lines curvy besides the one at the equator. Longitude lines are great circle routes. They're all straight, bro.
Yeah. So latitudes are the parallel ones, and longitudes, the ones that are going through the North Pole, are not parallel.
No, you don't know your own model.
The only one that's actually a great circle is the equator. That's it.
Correct. They are still parallel.
Hold on, bro. The longitude lines are all great circle routes. Every single longitude line is a great circle route, right? On the vertical axis. On the horizontal, hold on, bro. On the horizontal axis, the only one that's a great circle route is the equator.
Okay, but this was not the argument.
Are you
the
saying
are
all great circle are all great circle routes parallel to one another or not?
No single great circle route can be parallel to any other great circle route. This is impossible on a sphere.
Are they straight lines? Are the longitude lines straight lines?
In Euclidean geometry, no. In spherical geometry, yes.
Yeah, that's a concession. That's a concession right there. Michael Jordan of debate strikes again.
Great circle routes are by definition straight lines in spherical geometry. That's how they are made.
Are they parallel?
Exactly.
No, they cannot be parallel. There is not
then
a
therefore the Earth is not a globe.
circle that can be parallel to any other great circle except of the one that it is already.
Okay, therefore the Earth is not a globe because you have a bunch of straight lines that are parallel to one another.
No, we don't have straight lines that are parallel.
Oh, so great circle routes are not straight lines.
They are not parallel to each other. Don't you?
Unfortunately, you can't have it both ways, though.
No, the thing is, you cannot have straight lines on the surface of a globe that are parallel to each other.
Dialetheism, dude. You want the benefit of two mutually exclusive options.
Bang on.
What are you talking about? Why? Where is this claim coming?
Dude, that's Dwayne Wood right there dunking on you. I don't know what to say.
No, the thing is, we were talking about like looking to stars, and for some, I don't know why reason, Torah's brain switched on lines on surfaces of spheres.
You guys started to draw them yourself. You guys started to draw the lines. You guys had 1 degree per 60. You just drew a linear line.
Can I explain without interruption? You can go on afterwards as well. So then you switch somehow to parallel lines on the surface of a sphere, constantly mixing up Euclidean geometry terms with spherical geometry terms. You could not stay in one of these two geometry definitions. And now, I don't know, Lion is somehow coming in midway of the discussion and claiming some stuff that no one was talking about.
That's a projection. You're the one that can't stay. You're the one that needs it both ways in order for it to work. That's how we just disproved your model to you. You literally just disproved the model, dude.
You want the benefit of two mutually exclusive options.
Torah, can you explain in which way I had kind of disagreeing arguments?
Yeah, are two straight lines that are next to each other parallel?
No. And when you first ask, are there parallel lines on the globe? And I said, yes, you did not say straight. You can go back on the recording. And I said the latitude lines are parallel. They are not straight. And he said, only straight lines can be parallel. And I said, this is the contrary. Even curved lines can be parallel. And
not be concentric circles. Those aren't considered parallel in Euclidean geometry. And in Euclidean geometry, parallel lines are, by definition, straight lines that lie in the same plane and never intersect.
Yeah, you're the one that doesn't want to stay in Euclid for some reason.
Sorry, Galley, but I do disagree.
Yeah, that didn't sound right.
Parallel lines do not need to be straight. Parallel straight lines.
In what geometry?
In Euclidean, of course.
I'm sorry that you disagree with all of Google and all of mathematicians, but what I stated was just a fact.
Yeah, but the lines of latitude on the sphere are parallel, period. By definition, you can't argue with that.
No, in Euclidean geometry, concentric circles are not considered parallel.
We're not talking about Euclidean, we're talking about spherical
geometry. Yes, we are. You joined late. You don't know what you're talking about.
Spherical geometry.
Stay in your lane, kiddo. You're not even in the conversation. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, left lane, I just asked
obviously
Snooz,
you don't
left lane, I specifically just asked Snooz in what geometry, and he said Euclidean, dude.
Concentric circles have to lie in the same plane. Lines of latitude are not in the same two-dimensional plane.
Exactly.
I don't even know what the point of this conversation is, but it's interesting. I don't know. I never heard this shit.
Yeah, they're just equidistant apart.
It's to show that you can't have two exclusive options. You can't have two exclusive options being true at the same time, and because of that, there necessarily must be one that is true.
It's a destructive
You're just
dilemma for
disagreeing
the
with
globe.
definitions. I don't
It's
know
the
why.
dude. It's the destructive dilemma for the globe. You guys need to. You never
It's
heard
not
it before.
destructive
How
at
long have
all.
you been in this room for?
Lines of latitude aren't concentric circles because they don't lie in the same plane.
Yeah,
According to Euclidean
they're lines of
geometry,
latitude.
if we're sticking to Euclidean geometry, which is what the framework of the conversation is, Left Lane, I know you can't steelman anyone's position in the conversation, so please just take a minute to listen, learn what people are saying.
Okay. Just cast a little disparaging comment there and think that
Great,
you've won.
fine. Then look, maybe my comment isn't disparaging. Maybe it is. Can you steelman my position or Tor's position or Snooz's position, please?
You're saying incorrect things.
No, please just show me, Left Lane.
Wait, no, come on. I got something better for you. Check this out. A great circle route, if you're going to have two great circle routes, they're not going to be parallel to each other.
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Won't be.
Great circle routes cannot be parallel to each other. That's already what I said 10 minutes ago.
Concentric circles cannot be parallel to each other in Euclidean geometry.
It's okay. If you say that parallelity must be straight, okay. Then
you have anything you could show us that's parallel?
But yeah, two straight lines. Anyway, so the thing is, I don't know why you were deflecting.
Or do those exist as great circle routes on the surface of a sphere?
Torah, you are constantly deflecting from the topic on hand.
You just stepped in it again, dude. You just stepped in it.
No, we were talking about the claim from Embo about the perspective of the lights in the sky. And if you move a certain amount, and then at some point you're deflected to parallel lines on the surface, which was not at all included in this claim or the discussion. I don't know why you are making this meta discussion about Euclidean or spherical geometry and so on.
It does. It relates exactly what he said. He said that if we go linearly on the globe, right? So if we travel in a straight line on the globe, things start displacing in your vision. Yeah, that's your claim. You guys started to draw lines on the globe. So I was like, okay, let's go. Let's draw lines on the globe. Let's take it to the furthest extent.
Torah, linearly means we are going equidistant every time. We are not going increasing steps or logarithmic steps or something. We are going linear, increasing.
Okay, cool. Are they parallel to each other?
Every 60 nautical miles, we go one step, and we basically have the same drop. So we have a linear drop of perspective, which is not what a flat surface to a fixed point would behave.
Okay, would you say you travel in a straight line to do that?
No, no one said that.
Okay, so then it's not. So you don't even know that you went 60 nautical miles because you're not even sure if you went the shortest distance between the 2 points.
That's Michael Jordan right there.
Not point at all.
Yeah, dude, you trust the plot, bro. You think that you're not walking in a straight line anymore. You don't know how to walk in a straight line.
You can only discuss with these dumb word games. And then again, having this difference between spherical geometry and, of course, let's say you're moving on a specific latitude line. You're going down the latitude line. You're going down the latitude line with every 60 nautical miles. You have 1 degree in shift in the stars ahead of you or on top of you. And this is consistent, and this is not.
Did you go in a straight line when you did that?
I said you are walking on a longitude line. Define whatever you think it is, if it's straight or not. I don't give a shit.
Is a longitude line a straight line?
I don't give a shit to play your semantic games.
Yeah, because you're done, dude. That's what happens. And you know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that this is your second language and you didn't know what Excuse me, Snooze. Dude, it's all good, bro. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that English.
The only place the line of longitude is a great circle route is on the equator. Every other line of longitude is not a straight line.
That's latitude.
A longitude line is a straight line. So
the only line of longitude that's a great circle route is the equator. Every other line of longitude is not a straight line.
That's latitude.
That's a latitude line, dude. You interrupted me to say that, bro. You interrupted me to just fall on your face.
My God.
Do you understand, dude? The lines of latitude that you're referencing, you're saying they're all parallel, right? The concentric circle lines that you claim like you're supposed to walk a straight line when walking a line of latitude. A great circle route is a straight line.
Why are
Only
you
the
interrupting
equator is a
Torah?
great circle route, and that's the
You're,
only
you're,
straight
you're
line
you're literally
on a
interrupting
globe.
him for just playing dumb.
What the
You
fuck is
mix up
wrong
the
with
words
you,
between
dude? Like, I'm
latitude and
just trying to
longitude,
say
and
something.
Torah was
Can you
just
calm down?
talking.
Dude,
What
just
the
calm
fuck?
down. Somebody's saying something to you. Stop freaking out.
No one was talking with you.
Yeah, people are allowed to join a conversation. There's like 20 people here. You expect
Yeah,
people
with
to jump
some
in
meaningful
when there's like 20
content.
people.
But with some meaningful content. Torah was just talking about something, and you just coming with something super stupid about latitudes or straight lines and so on. I was talking about
Dude, I don't even
walking
think
down
you comprehend
walking down
like
the
any of the
longitude
English
line,
that gets said in the
and you
English.
just came in and destroyed the conversation. Congratulations, you trolled again, you asshole.
It's not a troll. I'm just pointing out that Torah's argument is premised in a flaw. There's a
You're
flaw in his
pointing
premise.
out that you're a dumb asshole because you're mixing up the topics and you can't follow up.
No, he's insisting that all lines of latitude are parallel. You don't understand that, Snooze, because there's a language barrier. I'm just commenting on Torah's argument. Calm down.
Yeah, I have a language barrier. You have an intelligence barrier.
You're not even responding to what he's saying correctly. Like
For
he
your
is
shit
in fact
show,
dunking on
for
you.
your shit
That's
show,
why I felt
language
the
is
need to
not an
jump in. I
explanation.
actually felt bad for you.
That's literally the only thing that you can do, destroying the
I
communication.
wasn't trolling, dude. I was responding directly to something Torah said.
He
You don't
was not
understand. He's
responding.
saying that
I just
concentric
asked him
circles
a
aren't
question. He
parallel,
was
and you
talking,
have
and he
concentric
just has
circles
to
on a
come up with some
globe
stupid
when
shit.
you look at it with certain projections on a map because you don't get it yet. I'm explaining what you don't get. You just listen for a second. I don't know. Are you on drugs? Is that why you don't understand anything?
Maybe we should try to reset.
I don't know. It's simple stuff, guys. I'm not trying to be complicated about it. Concentric circles are not parallel. I agree, but the globe, the lines of latitude are not concentric circles. They're not a sphere, so they don't lie in the same plane. And not every line of latitude is a great circle route. So you would not be traveling in a straight line
No one
when,
was claiming that.
when traveling along a line
You're
of latitude.
again debunking stuff that neither the globe side nor the
Dude, I don't
flat
care
Earth
what you
side
think. You
was
sound messed
talking
up,
about.
dude. I don't care. Okay, good for you.
As to be clear, I myself, Torah, I do not take the flat Earth or the globe Earth position.
And I'm fine. I conceded to you, Galley, that this may not be considered as parallel. Okay, then I correct myself. But the thing is still that the concept is still the same. And this was again this word gaming shit.
Well, if we're going with Euclidean geometry, in Euclidean geometry, concentric circles are not parallel. And in Euclidean geometry, parallel lines are by definition straight lines that lie in the same plane and never intersect. There's entailments to those two statements.
Yo, Galachax, all that cheerleading was mad gay. I almost threw up.
Well, that's true. I mean, I don't think Torah was making those points. I was making those points. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, just as a little side comment here, the earliest claim that Embo made was hardcore affirmative consequence. If I move 69 miles, the star has dropped 1 degree. The star has dropped 1 degree, therefore I move 69 miles. Hardcore. And then when you go add the globe in there, that's just like begging the question like crazy.
Yep.
Then it's, yeah.
I'm going to say all so-called globes, so-called proofs are affirming the consequent, and/or begging the question, and/or both.
Yeah, I mean, Embo thought he was he's like, dude, I got like the one that's not any of that stuff, and he threw out like the worst, the one that's, the worst. He threw out the worst one. Stars go down, therefore Earth goes down.
I don't know where you get this therefore Earth is a globe thing from some ones. I don't know. Maybe some globers do kind of still stick to this. We can prove something to be true or so. The thing is just evidence is trying to falsification, and if you fail to falsify, your claim can still stay valid. And there is not a single falsification of the globe model yet out there.
That's why people like talking to you, Snooze, because you understand the phrase all so-called globes, so-called proofs are affirming the consequent. When I say proofs, you know what I mean by proofs. I don't think there's any language barrier. I think you get exactly what I mean. You know what I mean by that? Because you just said this idea that we can prove the globe is silly. Because you just said proof it requires falsification. So all swans are white. Oh, I found a black swan. Therefore, I have falsified the phrase that all swans are white. Therefore, I've proven that all swans are not in fact white.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with that. You can prove that a specific claim was false, but yeah, I mean, proving that kind of the globe is our, what to say, like if you falsify, you can prove that something is not the case. I agree with that, but that doesn't necessarily directly mean that. For example, if you prove flat, it's not flat. It does not mean it's a globe. It's just not flat. So by falsifying, you do disprove something, or you prove something being wrong. Let's say so.
No, I mean that's you want to avoid that false dilemma there. So if not flat does not mean therefore globe, and if not globe does not mean therefore not flat.
Yeah. So, for example, many people were talking about like TFE being a false dichotomy, for example. And in my opinion, there is not a single dichotomy in the TFE. There was not the dichotomy, is it either flat or globe? There were two dichotomies. Can we falsify the globe and can we falsify the flat Earth? So, in my opinion, what the TFE did is it proved that the Earth is not the AE map, because with the AE map and our known physics, it would be impossible. And it did not disprove the globe. So globe is still on the table while the AE map is off the table.
Right, so stick with, to be consistent, it's evidence that the AE map with sun overhead, as we understand it, would not be the case.
Yes, in my opinion, yes.
Yep. But it wouldn't be proof that the AE map with sun overhead, as we understand it, is not the case. It's not proof. It's evidence for that to be the case. That's not a falsification. It's not like a direct negation. So if I said my car is flying, therefore all cars are flying, you can just say, oh, my car isn't flying. Now you falsified my all cars are flying claim. You haven't falsified the claim that my car is flying.
Yeah, and I think we have falsified basically like the AE map under under a lot of conditions, like under the conditions that we know how light works, that we know how atmosphere works, that we see something where we something that distance
All right, I'll just stand here and talk.
I wasn't hot micing. Who kicked me out of the chat?
Dude, I'm sick of your shit, Cole. There's something going on. Everybody said they're getting kicked out, and I'm not sure what's going on.
It's still kicking people out. I constantly heard disconnecting, connecting, that beeping sound. So I think Discord is just acting.
I muted my headphone set. Now we got up and went through the house and come back, wasn't in the chat. I was like, well, damn, did somebody kick me out for no reason? All right, just wondering.
I could hear someone. I heard Cole. I keep getting disconnected. I couldn't hear anybody, and my mic wasn't lighting up when I was talking. I don't know what's going on.
No. By the way, sorry, Galley, my battery died. So
You missed literally nothing.
I just realized that.
No, you missed nothing.
Turns out Discord server is hosted on Snooz's cell phone by his battery. Snooz's battery is the ultimate source for power for Discord, apparently.
Sorry, I broke the internet. But anyway, I have to go on mute now. See you guys. Have to catch an early flight tomorrow.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for the conversation.
Thank you, Snooz. Good talks.
Have a good flight.
Yeah. Thank you, Tora, for the conversation. See ya.
So, undefeated argument. All globe, all so-called globe, so-called perps are indeed inferring the consequent and or circular reasoning, or both. So where do we go from here?
If it is the case that man is finite in his reasoning, then all of his reasoning and the ultimate reasons would ultimately be circular.
Okay, so then you have to ask yourself the question, is it a vicious circle or a virtuous circle? Because when you look at it, you have a reason why you think your reasoning is valid. You use logic to determine whether or not logic is logical. That's virtuously circular.
Yeah, there's no way you could make your a virtuous circle about something contingent like a globe or something. That makes no sense.
Right. So that would be what's called a vicious circle. It's viciously circular reasoning. It cannot be the case.
So anyone that believes in the globe must be reasoning fallaciously to have convinced themselves that the Earth is a globe.
Fallaciously in those two senses, right? So like affirm the consequent and or circular reasoning and or both.
Exactly. Yeah. Informally and formally.
How does believing the flat Earth vary from that?
Well, I guess that's a demonstration of the fallacious reasoning, because this gentleman had to put forth an ad hominem argument, which is called a tu quoque, is what he did. So he said, I know my position is fallacious, but I also think your position is fallacious. But nobody here claimed flat Earth. That's the funny part. I didn't.
Oh, nobody in this server claims flat Earth? Okay, cool.
I didn't. Galley didn't. That's the person you responded to.
Yeah, those are the people you're speaking to.
Did you hear my question? I said,
oh man, Wesley, did you get slapped around at Cubes again so you come here to cry? It's so sad, bro.
It's cool though. I do appreciate the concession, Wesley, that you do agree that your position is fallacious. That's why you did the tu quoque, because you had to come with the ad hominem attack rather than just proving your position is non-fallacious. You could have just done that, but instead you conceded.
Explain croquet.
How did I add hom?
It's a tu quoque. What basically what we did was we just proved that in order to be a globe believer, you had to come to that reasoning through fallacious reasoning, right? So you had to use fallacious reasoning to get there. So now you have the opportunity at that point to rebut what I said, but instead you did a tu quoque, which is a to the man argument. You said, I know I do that, but what about you? Don't you also do that? That's the entailments of what you just said.
You're committing the straw man fallacy. So again, if that's your argument, then nobody can claim the shape of the Earth without being fallacious, in your opinion.
Correct. Yeah, unless they claim Earth is Earth-shaped. Yeah, Earth is Earth-shaped. Yeah, you're correct.
Okay, cool.
No one can claim anything about anything.
Yep.
No, that's not the case, sir. That wouldn't be the case. That would be called an all or nothing fallacy, what Left Lane just did there. So what we know about the Earth is we know that we can walk on it. We could do engineering with it. We know that there are people and trees on it. We know that there's water here. We can know all those things. But then if we want to go further than saying the Earth is Earth-shaped, you're going to have to step into a fallacious reasoning.
No, you just make long distance measurements and they comport to a spherical Earth.
Hold on a second. So all the flat earthers in here, if you claim the Earth is flat,
Again, you're projecting that.
If you're making a fallacious, argument according to Torah for Yah.
So that's a concession, Wesley, on your part.
Let's see if he calls him out on it too. Let's see if he calls him out.
You're conceding, Wesley. So what you're saying is all globe earthers and all flat earthers hold the same. No, you just did. You guys are
talking at the same time. We can't hear either of you. So
I know he interrupts me.
And then hold on, Seact. I don't know if he couldn't hear the audio, but he came in interrupting. Please don't do that either. But let's try to go one at a time if you guys can. Thanks.
Yep. So what we have is a concession here from Wesley G, because when we came to the conclusion that if anyone is going to go beyond Earth is Earth shaped, that they're going to have to engage in fallacious reasoning. And he said, I agree. So therefore, if anyone claims the Earth is flat, then that would mean they had to come to that conclusion through fallacious reasoning, because that statement that he makes has an entailment saying his position and the flat Earth position are fallacious. Thank you.
No, I never made that concession. He's just saying words, putting words in my mouth. So that is very bad faith. I just was pointing out, if you agree with Torah, then Torah, you're going to go after any flat earther that makes a claim that the Earth is flat, right? Or you're going to be hypocritical in that.
No, there's no entailment in my argument that's stating that I must now defend my position. The entailment, though, of your argument, because you threw the tu quoque ad hominem fallacy, the entailment is actually that you agree with everything I just stated, and you agree that you are fallacious to come to the reason that the Earth is a globe.
It's called a hypothetical. With your logic, any person that says or makes a claim on the shape of the Earth is fallacious and lying, according to you. Not according to me, according to you.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. Could you have a rebuttal?
No, I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy that you're going to do that only for Globers, but nobody that claims the Earth is flat.
And he did not agree with you either. It doesn't mean he's agreeing with you.
If someone argues against something, doesn't mean they have to argue against everything. Right, so that's an all or nothing fallacy, but it is a concession. So you're saying if I grant that, which means you're shush, Left Lane. Just like pretend you're a kindergartner. Pretend the teacher is speaking. Just let someone finish speaking before you start chiming in.
Okay, don't put words in my mouth, please.
Okay, wait for me to finish speaking, and then you can correct me if I get it wrong.
Okay.
But now I lost my train of thought because you both interrupted me. Please stop interrupting. I'm going to start serving.
Straw man entertains interruption.
Asking you to please stop interrupting.
If you guys agree to that, like if you want, he was calling a straw man. If you want to, remember when Witz brought that idea where it's like you could have it to where, I mean, when I say he brought it, because we never really did it that much until he brought, like when he was here a few months ago, and he was saying like that idea, and we started doing it for a while, where it's like you have to kind of agree to it though, because if you're not agreeing to it, then it seems like an interruption. But if you do agree to it, then because especially when it gets more heated debate, like the thing is you want to steel man someone, you want to make sure they're understanding you. However, you don't want to be straw man, but you do need them to get so it's like a catch-22. Like you need them to understand what you're saying, but then you don't want to be straw man. So the thing is, like a lot of people feel like if someone like is starting to interpret what they think you're saying, but they're saying it in a straw man form, instead of like laying out the whole straw man and spending the time for that, and then etc., let the person just quickly interrupt and say, hey, just to clarify their position. But what Witzy was saying, with the idea that he had with it, which is kind of like you would let them interrupt, they would quickly clarify only the part that was a straw man. And then the turn would go back to, in this case, Galatrax. Like it's not like Left Lane would just get the whole mic to go for a long time. He would just say, "Hey, strawman, here's how," and then Galatrax could hear that for 10 seconds, and then Galatrax could say, "Okay, now and then move forward from there." Ideally, but you guys have to kind of agree to it.
They're claiming we're putting words in their mouth. That's not the claim. We didn't put words in their mouth. We're saying your argument has an entailment. Okay?
All right, let's just let Galatrax maybe complete because he was interrupted technically. So maybe should we let him at least say his point?
Toa's got it. Me and him are the same person, so I agree with everything he says.
I'd like to make a comment. I don't think Wesley's conceding with Torah. He's just saying if you have that logic, you should also use it against flat earthers.
Yeah, so no rebuttal, right? So
yeah, but he's not getting a rebuttal.
Right, yeah, okay. If it was the case that what I was saying was not true, then he would have a rebuttal.
Okay.
That's not the case. I don't want to argue that point at this point. I was seeing if you were honest, being intellectually honest.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put forth now my claim that if you don't want to argue it, it's probably because you don't have a good argument.
I'm okay with you thinking that. That's fine with me. As long as you're not putting words in my mouth. I never conceded, and both you and Galatrax said the same thing, which I never did. So that was why I interrupted. So
okay, thank you for joining the conversation, which the argument was on the table that all so-called globe, so-called proofs are affirming the consequent and or circular reasoning and or both. That's the argument, uncontested, non-rebutted. You just made arguments against our character. You said, oh, well, you're being intellectually dishonest, you don't use it. Okay, but the argument on the table that was placed is that if you don't rebut it, it stands.
I already made the argument against that. You didn't like it. You had to get pedantic about it, and so that's fine. We don't have to.
What was the argument? What was the one that was not circular reasoning?
My argument was that if the Earth is a sphere or spherical shaped, then when we look at the entire Earth as a whole from any angle, then it should appear to be a circle. We do that, therefore, it's a circle. It's a sphere. It can't be any other shape.
A circle.
A sphere. Sorry, spherical. Sorry, my bad.
Right. If the ground is wet, then it rained.
Nope.
The ground is wet, therefore it rained.
Go ahead. Provide another reason that it would look like a circle from all angles.
What do you mean by What do you mean by circle? Like a flat circle?
When you look at the Earth from any angle, it looks like a circle, just like the moon, just like the sun. So if that's the case, then it is a spherical shape.
What do you mean, though? From like high altitude balloon, from spaceships, from what?
Anywhere that you can see the whole Earth.
Like the whole Earth? What do you mean? Like a rocket?
You can never see the whole Earth, dude. Come on.
You know what I mean. Okay, fine. Half the Earth. One face of the Earth.
God's eye view?
Sure.
I'm so glad you guys.
God's eye view would be able to see the whole thing because it's omnipresent.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have God's eye view. They would love to have it though.
All right, those weren't my words, but now I understand where you're going.
Well, omnipresence means it's everywhere, so it would be able to see everything all at once at that highest level. But
I agree.
Unfortunately, that doesn't refute the claim of there are no so-called globes, so-called proofs that are not affirming the consequent and or circular reasoning. What you brought was an affirming the consequent argument. You started from the thing that you were trying to prove. You're trying to prove that the Earth is a globe. You show your evidence the Earth is a globe, and you say, therefore, Earth is a globe. But your first premise is if the Earth is a globe, and your ending conclusion is, therefore, the Earth is a globe. It's affirming the consequent. So actually, you've proven my argument instead of disproving it.
It's not.
Yeah. So that means we can't prove anything.
Yep.
That's an all or nothing fallacy and still not a refutation for the initial argument. I'm sorry.
It's inferred. It's not a fallacy. It's inferred by your statement.
No, it is not an inference to from my statement, nor is it an entailment of my statement, and also it's also not a rebuttal to my argument.
May I jump in? So evidence is neither proof nor truth, and you guys using a framework that only provides evidence is your mistake. Us denying evidence as proof or truth doesn't make us assert that proof or truth cannot ever be held. I can give you a good case example already of how proof and truth can be had. You can just place your hand on the table, and when your hand is on the table, that's both proof and the truth. Proof of your hand being on the table when it so is, and the truth of that very moment or the action done. So you can have both proof and truth, but when you're taking raw data and manipulating it through and creating a data model, which you assert is proof and truth, you are, by definition, making multiple fallacies. Reification, begging the question, jumping to the conclusion. There's so many fallacies you just do, unfortunately, and for people who are able to track along with the actions done, it's we're just getting tired of it, really.
Okay.
Thank you, brother. Excellent. You got it down perfect.
Okay, so Left Lane and Wesley, are you guys contesting that there is a such thing as affirming the consequent and also circular reasoning? Are you contesting that those don't exist, or are you contesting that your arguments don't match that?
I would say the latter, but
okay. So you agree affirming the consequence is a real thing and it's logically fallacious? Like if I made an argument right now that wasn't affirming the consequent, would you think that's valid or invalid?
Can you give me an example?
Oh, there's so many.
Let's go with the rain one. It's easy.
Eltrack said the rain one. That's kind of a simple way to think of it.
I could give a textbook one if you want, as far as proving the globe.
That's the one that comes up on Google. If you Google it, that'll be the one that comes up, I bet.
It's like if Earth is a globe, then ships will disappear hull first over the horizon. Ships do appear hull first over the horizon. Therefore, the Earth is a globe. That is affirming the consequent.
Yeah, it just takes an assumption as it just reifies as an assumption as truth without having the actual actuality of it. You're just standing on it.
What are the other options for a boat disappearing?
You cannot. You can make the argument in the proper form rather than messing up the form of modus ponens, because the proper form is if P, then Q, P, therefore Q. But that argument took the form of if P, then Q, Q, therefore P. That's what it is.
Okay, can you make an argument for any object being a shape?
Before we do that, I think it's good to answer that question that came in there. I think, was it Left Lane? It was someone. Someone asked of the alternative. Well, here's the thing, just because you stand at a distance and look at something that has an appearance and you don't know the thing itself, because someone or no one or anyone can't provide a different explanation to an appearance, doesn't mean that appearance now suddenly is known because you create a model around what you assume or presuppose that appearance to be, meaning your idea, belief, etc. about the thing itself. The appearance stays the appearance until it is known. Therefore, we talk about evidence. When it is known, you have truth. And when you have something that proves the truth of the thing itself, now you have, the proof established. All evidence dissolve when you have the thing itself and you know it.
Yeah, well, because Left Lane, because the thing you said actually does point at the issue, because you said, well, what other reasons could there be why the ships would appear to be cut off from the bottom up optically? But that's the whole point. That's why it's fallacious, is because it doesn't actually prove the thing it's claiming to do, because there could be other reasons that, for example, in this case, the objects, boats in the distance could appear to obscure from the bottom up. That's why claiming that effect to then be connected by, in terms of the logical fallacy part of it, that using that simple observation with an original assumption and then claiming it proves that assumption without actually validating further, and actually isolating it like into an argument that would actually be robust and wouldn't have any assumptions involved. Because like the whole thing about the sidewalk being wet because it rained, but we all know there's other reasons the sidewalk could be wet. Maybe somebody splashed water on it. Maybe somebody, turned the hose on. Maybe there's a bunch of reasons why the pavement could be wet. And obviously we all know that, because sometimes the pavement's wet because it rains. Sometimes it's because the sprinklers were on. So that's the point. It could be something different. So if you're going to say one of them, like in this case, the Earth is a globe because, now if that's the one like making that equivalent to it raining, versus the other one, somebody turned the hose on, but you're saying that because it's wet, it proves the Earth's a globe, that it was raining, let's say, in that analogy. But actually the truth is someone turned the hose on, which would be, let's say in this case, the Earth is planar. If we're going to do that as globe versus a curve, then you know what I'm saying? So, and if the truth is somebody turned the hose on, you could be wrong, and that's why it's fallacious.
We agree.
It's not a strong argument.
Yep. So here, let me try a different argument and see what Torah or Galley would say. So, no matter what direction or what angle you look at a sphere, it will always appear circular. No other object has this property. Therefore, we look at the globe and see only circles from no matter what. So therefore, it's a sphere.
Right. So that first premise, no matter what direction or angle you look at a sphere, right? What are you presupposing?
What am I presupposing?
You look at a what?
A sphere.
Yeah, you can hold a sphere in your hand and confirm this.
Let me try to clear things up for you guys. That's affirming the consequent. You're saying if globe, then Q. Q is observed, therefore globe. But Q does not uniquely imply a globe. And then if you say, what other reasons would it have to be like that? There's three fallacies there. That's the problem. You have an argument from ignorance, you have shifting the burden of proof, and it's the false dilemma. So if you say, shut the fuck up, Left Lane.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
So that's three fallacies. That's argument from ignorance, shifting the burden, and false dilemma. So if you say you cannot name another explanation for Q, where Q in this case is if globe then Q, Q is observed, therefore globe. You say you cannot name another explanation for Q, therefore my explanation P must be true. That's argument from ignorance. How is it shifting the burden of proof? Well, then you would have to claim that your explanation is sufficient and competing explanations are ruled out, i.e. you'd have to exclude competing explanations. And then the false dilemma, which is either the globe explains this or there is no explanation at all. And you guys are committing all three of those informal fallacies whilst committing the formal fallacy of affirming the consequent. Thank you.
So if you hold a sphere and look at it from all angles, and
how'd you eliminate your perception? How'd you eliminate your perception from that?
Hold on.
I would just like a rebuttal, because I just addressed their argument in specific and the fallacies they're committing. So if there's a rebuttal to what I said, I'd like that, please.
I refute your claim of them being all fallacious. If you hold a sphere in your hand and confirm that from every angle it looks like a disc, like a circle.
Yeah, but Galley went over that. You're saying that's the only option. There's only one option on the table.
No, you're not going to answer.
Keep on bringing another option. You're not even addressing.
Right, you went back to step one, which is affirming the consequent.
Yeah, that's how
you're just not going to follow. That doesn't mean follow the logic.
Can I ask a simple question? So I want to ask a simple question to Galley and Torah.
Can you refute the argument presented, please?
Can we have
let's not make audio chaos.
Hold on, I'm gonna moderate a little bit. Hold on, Wesley, you can go next with your thing, but can we get Left Lane? Did you feel like you got that? Because Left Lane was trying to respond to Galatrax, right? I don't know if you got interrupted or if you finished, but what were you saying?
I was just asking a simple question. Is there any way we can confirm Wesley's statement? And yes, there is a way we can confirm it with a sphere in our hand.
Right, so that statement was demonstrated to be affirming the consequence, so confirming a formally fallacious argument means nothing.
I disagree.
I wouldn't say.
So nah is your answer. I'm sorry, Left Lane, but you've conceded. Thank you.
Okay, I got next. I have a simple question. Can you make an argument for the shape of any object without being fallacious?
I would like a refutation to the several arguments I presented and not a Tukul-K fallacy. It is an internal critique, my argument, of a different case, of a different position. And then if you were to ask me about a third position, that is a Tukul-K fallacy. Please refute the point at hand.
It's so you're saying that anytime I try to make an argument for a shape, it's going to be a fallacy. And I'm okay with if that's what you're saying. I just want to make sure everybody else here knows that that's what you're saying.
No.
All right, well, there's two things going on, it sounds like. Galatrax wants a rebuttal for his thing, but then Wesley's bringing in his new thing. So I don't know, maybe you guys should agree to answer each other's or not, either way. Because, I mean, Wesley's asking, like, are there any examples that are not affirming the consequent? Is that basically what you're asking?
Yeah, for a shape, for a specific shape. Yeah, Euclid's Book of Elements goes off over all of the base axioms for all the shapes, dude.
If I have a soccer ball in my hand, can I say it's spherical? As a fact.
That's what I'm asking them, and they're not giving that.
I just gave you the answer, dude. I told you, go read Euclid's Book of Elements. It has an argument for all shapes.
Go read the book.
So can
you want me to start reading them off to you one by one? You want the argument for why a triangle is a triangle? You don't know what
Why can't you just answer the fucking? Why can't you answer the question that was asked?
Leslie, I wish you had that same animosity and anger towards other people when they, present a well thought out argument very specifically and it's not addressed, but instead you only do it for one side of an argument, the side that you think agrees with you.
No, it's the one that says fallacy. Every time you answer something, fallacy, fallacy, fallacy. That's not an argument.
Well, which one do you want? You want the right triangle, isosceles? Which one would you like?
Just triangle.
No, you have to define which triangle. They all have different arguments. An isosceles and a right angle triangle. You don't make the same argument for an isosceles triangle that you make for a right angle triangle.
So what about just triangle?
How about we do spherical, the one we're discussing?
I'm fine with that. I just want to hear a good argument for a shape because I'm conceding that I don't know the logical language you guys are using, so I want to learn.
Number 2 most sold book in the world is called Euclid's Elements. Read it and you will know all of the arguments for the shapes.
So you can't make an argument for it.
I can. I just asked you which one, dude, and you wouldn't even let me.
Triangle.
Yeah, you want isosceles or a right angle triangle?
Pick either one. Okay,
you have to have an argument that.
All right, let me Google that for you.
Isosceles. Go ahead. Isosceles.
Let me Google it for you. Give me a minute.
Okay, if you can't do it, that's fine. I'll go look it up. But if you had
dude, I don't have Euclid's Book of Elements memorized.
So you can't give an argument off the top of your head for a shape. That's fine. That's all I wanted to know.
You need a modus ponens argument that affirms the antecedent for it to not be affirming the consequent.
Yeah, no, I'm learning and I appreciate the feedback. I just wanted to know. He was asking for an argument that wasn't affirming the consequent, and so I would like to see if he could give the same exact without doing affirming the consequent and without reading a book. It seems like he can't do that, which is fine. I'm not denigrating him because of it.
That's like the most passive aggressive statement I've ever heard in my life.
What? You required something of me that you can't do. So that's all.
I told you exactly where you could find the information.
I understand. Then why were you asking me to give one if you can't give one?
I did. What do you mean? I'm giving you all of them.
No, off the top of my head.
Well, I thought you were a big, huge globe proponent, and that you are. I don't come in here and argue for shapes. I don't come in here and argue for triangles every day. Okay, you come in here and argue for the Earth being a sphere, and you can't even make one argument for it without affirming the consequent or begging the question.
Following your laws of logic, no, but following evidence, yes. Following the scientific method, yes.
Those are all arguments.
So I was trying to learn from you, and that's all I was asking. That you take it passive aggressively is not my problem; it's yours.
No. Are you going to read the book of Euclid then? Euclid's Element?
You go look it up. Cool.
So you did learn something. Thank you, brother.
That's what I'm saying. And I also learned that you can't give one either without looking at a book, and that's fine. So don't require that of others.
Just from your paradigm, Wesley, I'd just say that, it's not you, it's other men. So that's why I'm not really comfortable with it. But you can if I was you, I'd just say, well, we've seen, they've been to the moon. They've seen the globe. They've seen it.
Okay, so this is an interesting point. Because Torah for Yah's argument is that all the globe proofs rely on assumption, but there's actually another element, which is trust and authority. Because there are observations being claimed that most people can't verify, that I would say, if they were true, would go out of the assumption category.
Yeah, the point I was making is you don't need an argument then, do you? Neil Armstrong doesn't need an argument. He might need one for, and if he might need one to convince another man, maybe, but he doesn't need one for himself. He knows one way or the other.
Listen,
So that's what
I
Wesley
agree
did.
with. I agree with what he's saying. I agree with what you're saying, but Torah for Yah likes to go down this logical route. So I'm trying to understand how I can make that argument, and I was trying to learn, and he helped me. So that's all I'm saying.
Oh, I walked you through that. I said you just have to formulate like this: if P, then Q, P, therefore Q. Instead of formulating it like this: if P, then Q, Q, therefore P.
No, I agree with you 100%, and that's why I asked if you could give me an example. And so, referring to a book, I will gladly go look at the book. Thanks.
Andy is right, and it is right in the sense that you don't need an argument for truth. When your hand is on the table, you don't argue for your hand being on the table. It just is.
Yeah, but if you are going to make an argument for something to someone else, then it would have to be formulated without being fallacious. So I'll give you an example here. So like of modus ponens, it's not affirming the consequent. If this object is a square, then it has four sides. This object is a square, therefore it has four sides. So that's a valid modus ponens. However, one that is not valid, which would be affirming the consequent, would be if it is a square, it has four sides. It has four sides, therefore it is a square. So I could replace it with if the Earth's a globe, boats cut off from the bottom up, boats cut off from the bottom up, therefore there's a globe. The issue with that, in that statement with the square, is that it could be a rectangle, for example,
a polygon,
with the four sides. So it could be a square or a rectangle. That's why it's fallacious. And then there's another example, like in terms of modus using it with modus tollens. You could also have it not be affirming the consequent. This example would be if the shape is a square, it has 90-degree corners. The shape does not have 90-degree corners, therefore the shape is not a square. So you could replace the globe stuff in with all that. Like for a logical globe one, you could say, okay, if the Earth is a sphere, it will have curvature at the radius of a 3959 sphere. The shape does not have the radius of a 39, or the Earth, I should say. The Earth does not have a radius of 3959. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere. That would be a valid one for the Earth not being a sphere. That would not affirm the consequent.
Not necessarily. It could be a bigger sphere than what's claimed.
No, not if it has that radius. It would be a sphere at that radius. It either does or doesn't have that. So that type of argument, it doesn't use any assumptions. It's just saying what you discover, and then if that's valid, then it has an actual implication. But I mean, if it's a radius of that size, it would have to be that size of a sphere. Are you saying different?
I'm saying, what if you're saying it's claimed that Earth is a sphere of this radius. If we prove that it's not that radius, then it's not a sphere. I'm saying it could be a sphere but bigger than what's claimed.
Oh yeah,
it's not a sphere with that radius.
Yeah, you'd have to just have the radius on both sides. You'd have to say if the Earth is a sphere of a radius of 3,959 miles, then it will have the curvature rate of, you could say the 8 inches per mile squared, or you could use other calculations. But, and then this shape does not have that curvature. Therefore, the shape is not a sphere with that radius.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would be valid. So do you have any arguments like that? See, at that point, though, you're going to have to prove the curvature. So it just takes back to, that's why the argument itself doesn't really give the truth. Like those guys were saying, the truth would be the actual evidence or something direct, but you'd have to have a good argument and the evidence both combined.
Well, that's why
a lot of the globe arguments are is that there's claimed evidences, but the arguments are logical. Therefore, logical arguments don't really prove the actual evidences, and that's the problem. If they weren't fallacious and actually the evidences were proven, then we would all just think we're on a globe if that was the truth, and it'd be able to be proven.
Well, that's why Wesley, Wesley, when he was trying to refute Torah's argument about all arguments being assumptions, he had to go to space and spaceships and seeing the Earth and flying around and going to the moon as evidence, but it's unverifiable. But if those observations were true, then yes, Torah's argument would be refuted. But I think Torah even says even seeing that and experiencing that might still be a fallacy.
I do, because I would say, how do you know what a sphere looks like in reality versus what your perception of a sphere looks like?
Yeah, because your point was it looks like a circle. I mean, a planar Earth would look circular as well from above, because you can see
not from all directions. Not from
like what if you have multiple things around it and you're like flying around it and you're going to the moon, you're going to Mars,
It should look like a circle that is a sphere, not just a circle. It's either a planar circle or a globular circle.
That was my point of my argument. You look at it from multiple angles. If you do a disc or something like whatever a flat Earth would be, it wouldn't look like a circle from every direction.
Well, are you talking about the horizon or the ground?
No, looking at the whole of Earth If you looked at the whole of Earth, it would. If it's a sphere, it looks like a circle from any direction, just like the moon or just like the sun.
Wesley, we've already covered this. You can't see the whole Earth, can you?
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Yes.
No, I don't.
Well, if you're going to be that obtuse, then fine. I don't really have a.
Well, you're not explaining it very well. Where's my vantage point? Where am I looking from?
Yeah, I mean, are you talking like
the whole Earth? When you can see the whole Earth as from side to side, just like seeing a ball. Do you understand seeing a ball?
It would have to be an Andy eclipse, meaning Andy's out there between the Earth and the Sun. An Andy solar eclipse. Is that what you're saying? When it's high noon, so you can see perfectly half the ball. Is that the idea?
Would you agree with me that a sphere looks like a circle from any vantage point when you have the whole thing in view?
Yeah, the outer rim of a sphere is a circle, like the equator or the prime meridian line is.
Yep, and that's how you would differentiate.
Yep,
check live stream 1.
That's how you would
like that.
That's how you would differentiate it from the flat Earth. Saying if you believe a flat Earth that is circular in shape, it will not look circular in shape from every angle. Only one or two angles would it look like a circle.
No, you're seeing a circle of light on a massive plane. You're not seeing.
If you went up,
a circle of light on a much larger plane.
If you went up and you looked straight down and you saw the picture that I just showed you.
Well, that looks kind of spherical, so that wouldn't because that looks like it has like bulge in it, from the middle.
Yeah, but that's what he's saying. This type of observation.
How do you know that has a bulge in it? You're just preconditioned to think that.
Well, I mean, flat thing. Well, it's on my flat computer screen, but it does have. Well, you're saying that little. I mean, I think it's not legitimate, but that it looks a little bit like a ball. I mean, the outer rim is a circle, of course, like a sphere, but it's gonna. I mean, if it's planar or curved, it should look differently, and the like Africa's wrapping up around it.
Well, that's because you presuppose what Africa looks like.
Are you telling me a sphere doesn't look like a sphere? I mean, dude, if you take like a basketball and you put little
you would not be
like little paper cutouts. Oh,
in two dimensions.
Go first if you want, but I don't want to be overtalked. Go ahead.
Yeah, in 2 dimensions, you cannot tell the difference between a sphere and a circle without other knowledge.
Oh yeah, but for example, that could be a circle, right? But when you get a photo from the other side as well, right? There you go. Multiple angles. What you're saying, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if you could take multiple photos from multiple angles and you saw that, then yes, that would be a non-assumption based evidence. But it's not verifiable. Not everyone can do that.
Well, it depends what you mean by verifiable, but yes, if you mean firsthand
experience.
Are you
familiar with this? You're familiar with this? That Karen B actually did this. I just posted it. Watch that video. This one's also, I think, a GIF of it, and I forget if this GIF shows the whole thing but she basically one of these objects is flat, one of them's concave, one of them's like a hemisphere, and then the other one is what is it? Well, one of them's I think flat, but it shows like I haven't seen this in a while. I'm trying to remember exactly. Only one of those is spherical.
So yeah, that's my whole point.
Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, if the Earth was a sphere, it would look like a sphere. But there's no reason if it's flat, it would look spherical, though.
What do you mean when you have? Can you tell if something is spherical by just one image?
Well, it should have the spherical coordinates if it is a sphere. But even if it has the spherical coordinates, it means it's either hemispherical or, I mean, it's either convex or concave. Or it's printed with convex or concave coordinates onto a flat sheet of paper. That's possible too. Like you can put you could like take a basketball, you could take a picture of it. You know the basketball is a sphere, you take a picture of that, and then you go and you print off a picture of the basketball, and then you're looking at that. And so it's going to have the spherical coordinates because it's a print off of a basketball, but the actual thing will be flat. So it either has to actually be convex, be concave, or it has to be, printed onto it to have it have the spherical coordinates, even if it's like a flat thing like a photograph. Like the basketball is going to look like it's going to wrap around, if it says the brand name or everything on it's going to wrap around like a sphere does. It's not going to be. Whereas if you took a basketball and popped it and put it out flat and took a picture of it, it's going to look different. It's not going to have the wraparound effect, the spherical coordinates on it.
My contention is you wouldn't know without prior knowledge of what a basketball or what the Earth looks like. You wouldn't know if it's an actual 2D shape or a 3D shape from one image. I mean, if you have shadows, then I would agree. Then I agree with you. But without assuming shadows or anything else, you wouldn't know.
No, if it looks spherical, then it would pretty much have to be a sphere. Because if you're talking about the Earth, you can't the Earth is not a photograph of like a printed off sphere. Like the Earth is like rocks and land and trees and so it really shouldn't have any of that spherical effect. So I mean, I'll go against your argument and say that if it was a sphere, it would actually look like a sphere from very high above. If it was the idea you could go to space and see a big ball, the way they show us. I mean, you disagree? It looks like what they show us because what they show us looks like a ball, kind of. I mean, different ones are kind of distorted, but
the only reason you say that, okay, my contention is the only reason you say that is because we think we know what Africa looks like. You made a perfect argument that Africa looks like it's being curved around a ball, but you wouldn't know that unless you knew what Africa like. Same thing with shadows. The same thing, you know, if you showed a baby this that had no idea about shadows or the shape of Africa, they would think that's a circle. But because of all of our knowledge, we can wrap that in our minds to think it's a sphere. That's the point.
Yeah. In the photo I sent, how do you know there's an other side to it? How do you know it's not a flat disc or a half sphere?
Yes,
From the photo I sent. You.
Well, I mean, they would claim that 12 hours later, you're going to see the other side of it.
Right. That's what he's just saying. It's good to have multiple angles of it.
Well, we know that because we're in a 3D world, right? A 2D object with no depth doesn't exist, right? Even the thinnest thing has a measurement of depth.
We are in a 3D world.
Yeah, like Wesley, if you take a look at this image, I just randomly found this searching, and it looks like it's made out of some like material, but who cares? It obviously looks like a sphere. But see how all that land, and this is just one example, but like up on the top there, whatever that is, like what is it, like Greenland and it looks like a part of Africa, Europe, like all that stuff over there. See how it's like wrapping up around the sphere? Like it has spherical coordinates. Like a flat Earth is not going to look like that. You still will see in a circle though on a flat Earth. Like you're still going to see in some kind of a circle of light. That's what I was saying. If you went at like high noon. Because if you don't go at high noon on a globe or a flat Earth, there's going to be like the Terminator line. You know what I mean? And then it's not going to look like a circle at all. It's going to look like almost like the moon does. Like like a half of it'll be lit because you're going to have the Terminator line. So the only way to get like a real circle on either model really is to do it at like high noon. That's what I was jokingly saying would be like an eclipse of Andy or whoever. You could put in anyone's name there because it would be like a perfect lineup between the Earth, like in the globe model of the globe Earth, a person out there like an astronaut or whatever, and then the sun. And then you'd be able to see at least half of the whole thing, and you'd be able to see half of it from that position. But if you were to be in a different position, like not. It's called the syzygy when three things are lined up. If you were off position, then you're going to see not the whole circle of a sphere either. You would only see a portion of it, just like we only see a portion of the moon. And even on a flat Earth or a planar type Earth with a local sun, there's going to be the Terminator line. You won't be able to see, an entire perfect circle like that. But one will be a globe and one will be a flat plane. So they will be different.
So Gio, on that picture that you showed, how do you know that's not an artist's picture that's drawn on a flat piece of paper? I guess that's my point. How could you tell that that's a 3D shape or an artist rendering of the Earth on a flat piece of paper?
I mean, it actually is 2D, right? The photo.
I know, but that's my
yeah,
point.
You're right.
Like, it's not worth an argument, and I don't, I've stated my point, and I get your point too. But that's what I would just put to you: is how do you know what you posted there would not be just on a flat sheet of paper, or could not be?
Well, because there's distortions that occur. I mean, like I said, you can take a picture of a sphere and then put it on a flat, like a photograph. Yep. But like even what I just posted right there, all the land on the left there, see how it's all distorted because you're seeing at it from an angle? On a flat, it wouldn't look like that. Or it actually would because you would be seeing it from an angle above a planar Earth as well, but it wouldn't wrap around like that. So I mean,
I have a question. If you look down, like you're looking down towards the Earth, straight down, and you kept flying up, would you ever see that photo on a flat Earth? Or would you always see land within your field of view? Assuming there was more land to look at, right?
Wait, what's the question?
Okay, so you have a flat Earth, right? And you're not looking towards the horizon, you're looking straight down to the ground, and you go higher and higher and higher, looking straight down. You would always have land within your field of view, right?
Well, you know what's trippy? Like above a planar surface, I actually think what would happen is let's say you're on a massive plane. Let's just say it's infinite for the time being, just to be crazy. Yeah. And then if you have a local sun that's lighting up a little region, what's wild about it, I think, is that let's say like you could. I mean, there may be just a barrier to how high we can go, which I think is likely the case. I don't think there is the outer space thing that they're claiming, and I don't think that that it goes infinitely. At least for humans, like there's a limit to what we can survive in. But let's just say for a minute that limit's not there, but it's a planar Earth, and you go up and up, and it's only like the sun's only lighting up a region. What would actually happen, I think, is that, and let's say you had like the vision or the atmosphere allowed you to do this, it would look like a circle of flat land with the sun, like some of the high altitude footages look. But as you go up and up, it would be a circle. And as you kept going up and up and up, that circle would start to shrink. And then it would essentially set like the sun sets. Like the circle of the Earth, as you kept going higher and higher, it would keep, like, because it's like perspective comes into play, to where you're actually, just the way the sun does, like a circle that's moving away from you. So anyways, eventually, like it would actually like do the effect of setting, but because there's no horizon, it wouldn't set, into a horizon. It would actually turn just to a tiny dot. And then at some point, the last little blip of light, which would be the whole circle of the Earth, assuming you can't see the rest of the plane, like it's all black, like there's no sun, then that little dot eventually would become unable to be even seen. So I think the circle would just get smaller and smaller eventually until just the last blip of light, and then it'd be all black.
But you'd never see the photo you just sent in chat. Round like that.
What's that?
You'd never see the photo you sent in chat.
Yeah, on their globe thing, it should, when you zoom out, it should start to look all curved and look like a sphere. Like it should look like a ball. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then as you get further away from it, it would I guess it would kind of do this. It would get really small as well, fade into a little tiny pin of light.
I think you both agree. Wesley's just saying it's better to have multiple angles.
I didn't hear him say that. I thought he was saying that between flat and globe, it would look the same, like a circle. Wasn't that what he was saying?
In a single photo. In a single photo.
But what he was trying to point out to differentiate, you just change your view of it, your perspective, move around, and you'll see what shape it is.
You mean move with the sun to other places, other areas?
No, just move in relation to the object that you're looking at. Look at it from the sides and the other side, above it, below it.
Okay. Has anyone ever done that?
Well, they believe.
Not of the Earth. Well, that's what they're attempting to do while making maps, but
I mean, Left Lane, have you ever done that to go see the ball from different angles or anything like that?
Well,
that's the argument.
Sort of. I guess he's not saying that has actually been done, but you could. I mean, that would be a way to confirm the shape of the object. Shape of the Earth would be to go where you could observe the whole thing from multiple angles.
That's a non-assumption based evidence.
Yeah, the best way to understand it is to go in situ.
But Left Lane, on a flat plane, you would still go to different, see it from different perspectives, right?
Yeah. So in other words, you have to be an astronaut to do Wesley's experiment.
Exactly. So, considering there's only 600 claimed beings who have gone to space, it's entirely a belief system which placates on trust. So, by understanding for a fact that everyone who, believes in the globe and trusts a select elite that has gone, supposedly, and seen this shape, everything rests upon it being a belief system. There's no knowledge to it.
Well, just a load of affirming the consequent fallacious arguments.
Well, you're going to school, Geo, and belief system. You learn to trust and have a belief system, which they call science. So you're learning a contradiction.
So what they do is they'll tell you that they've gone into space and they've observed this, and then they're like, here are some ways you can verify it yourself, right? You don't have to trust us. But then they're all assumption-based evidences.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, think back of you being a child and your father, something happens. You don't get to know the thing. And, you're told to talk with the people who experience that happening. That doesn't make you suddenly have the experience. It just means that, you're in a postscript of someone else's experience. You're not getting that experience. Just like if a family member witnesses something horrific or has an accident, them telling you of their accident is not you having the accident that they had. That was their experience. You might be able to witness it though, but then you're a part of that situation. Then you're in situ, in the situation, in natural environment of, the phenomena or the thing or the happening, etc.
One of the bigger issues is that when the Globers say sphere, right, Earth sphere, and Geo, which is not a Globe believer, just said the Earth as a sphere. I mean, we know spheres in reality, in the physical and natural world, and we can see how spheres operate in reality. And the globe is nothing like that. The water on the globe doesn't behave like the real water. The sphere of the globe doesn't behave like the real water, like the real sphere. So it's apart from reality. So, like you say, it's a contradiction. It's a misrepresentation of reality when you see the globe Earth in an image, as and label the Earth.
Yeah, it's an artistic rendition of a belief system projected, pretty much created in the software
as truth.
Yeah, presented as truth. Yeah, representation presented as truth.
No, it's
and
actually
the keyword is as truth.
Hey, bro, Signact, it's a misrepresentation because we can represent the Earth in art and horizontal perspective, converging to the horizon. We can represent it. We can represent water in a cartoon, water up a table, water making something wet. We can represent it like that. But the globe water is a misrepresentation.
Well, it really fails to present how water behaves. But it's on due time to learn that a representation is not the thing itself. But this is the problem that Aristotle have made us. If you go to read the Poetics, he says that a man learns at first by imitation, and that's his claim, a claim of child education theory, or rearing theory, we can call it, or psychology of a child, and it's completely false. But our modern world is pretty much built upon this in the educational, through education. I'm sure it's Poetics. If it's not Poetics, it's one of the major works, but it's a very well-known line. I'll look it up right now so the citation is correct. A man learns at first from imitation.
All right, left lane, did you want to, I see you guys are typing in the text chat. Did you guys want to complete what you were talking about before?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Wesley's argument was if Earth is a sphere, it will look like a circle from all angles. It looks circular from all angles, therefore it's a sphere.
If the Earth was a
Except
sphere,
when the moon doesn't look like a circle.
That argument was demonstrated to be affirming the consequent, and then the response to it was, do you have a better explanation? Which was demonstrated to be 3 different fallacies, which were argument from ignorance, shifting the burden, and false dilemma.
Listen, if the Earth was a sphere, it wouldn't have water on the surface, because spheres don't hold water.
It's not no argument. My argument was presented, and he presented an argument rather than a rebuttal, and I demonstrated that his argument had errors in reasons formally and informally.
So would you reformulate his argument without being fallacious?
I can't reformulate his fallacious argument.
Oh, so you can, and you're on to him because he can't? Is that what it is?
I did restate his argument and demonstrate that his argument had fallacious reasoning formally and informally. Now, can I make his argument not fallacious? No, he has an error in his reasoning. You can't restate my argument. You don't know what my argument was that he was refuting. Left lane, please, to show honesty to everybody in the audience, please just articulate my argument. It's very short. Just articulate my argument to demonstrate that you were tracking.
You called his argument fallacious, is what you did. Now,
wrong. So I stated an argument. That's a straw man and a lie.
Assume the same knowledge that you wish to gain and formulate his argument such that it is not fallacious.
Okay, left lane, just so we can continue on the discussion in good faith, to prove you're not bad faith, please articulate the very simple argument that I made that was refuting.
Yeah, I'm not playing. Y'all move
on. You are engaging in bad faith. You're not tracking the initial claim.
No, you won't answer the question.
You're not tracking the original claim that he was refuting. You are debating in bad faith.
I digress.
I have an example for you. You want me to give you this one? Okay, so if the Earth is a sphere, you'll be able to see it from all 4 sides, the way you can see a basketball from all four sides. This object is a sphere, therefore it has these 4 sides. Now I'm kind of trying to replace it and put sphere in there. But the thing is that when it claims this object is a sphere, that's where you would have to then validate that it is a sphere, which gets down back to the evidences and so on. But at least as an argument, it would not be affirming the consequent.
Premise 1 cannot be the same as the conclusion. That's it.
What I just said is a modus ponens, which is what Tora was saying earlier. If P, then Q. P, therefore Q. That's not affirming the consequent.
Yeah, so if you had a ball and you wanted to confirm that it was indeed a ball and not a half circle or a concave disc or something, it would appear as a circle from all 4 sides. It appears as a circle from all 4 sides, therefore it's a sphere.
Well, no, you just said affirming the consequent.
Your premise is your conclusion, man. Right. Sorry, Jared. His premise is his conclusion. That's the problem.
Hey, we'll say it where it's not affirmative consequent.
He just gave you a modus ponens argument where the premise is not the conclusion.
Yeah, so the example of this one that I gave is if the Earth is a sphere, then you'll be able to see it from all 4 sides. Although you're saying it would look like a circle, but that's fine, I guess, if you want to say that. I mean, it would have a circular outer rim to it because, but it would actually look like a sphere. But if you're just taking the horizon, I guess, you could say it looks like a circle. But the idea of being able to see it from 4 sides is the difference, because on a planar surface, you could see 4 different angles of it looking down, but you wouldn't be seeing it from the way a sphere is. I mean, obviously, a sphere, you can see it all around you. Just like if you have a basketball, you can spin it and look at all sides of it. Whereas if you have a flat floor, you can't really get under it and see the flat floor. So, or not the top of it, anyways. So, okay, so if the Earth is a sphere, you'd be able to see it from all four sides, or if you want to say looks like a circle from all four sides, this object is a sphere. The Earth is a sphere. Therefore, it has these four sides. But the thing with that argument, that would be one that's modus ponens. So I'll say it again. If the Earth, I'll try to replace the words. If the Earth is a sphere, then you'll be able to see it from all four sides. The Earth is a sphere, therefore it has these four sides. But the thing about that argument is it lends to, because it says the object is a sphere, so you have to then validate that it is, which gets back to the components of how to do that. But yeah,
that's not what he said. Hold on.
Moving the P and Q around.
That's not what he said. He said if the Earth is a sphere, you would be able to see a circle from all four sides. Since we see a circle from all four sides, then the Earth is a sphere. That's
excellent. And Left Lane said you're shifting the P and Q around. Correct. He is to make it a correct modus ponens. Josh, to make a correct modus ponens argument, yes, you would be shifting the P and Q around. To make it affirming the consequent fallacy, you'd shift the P and Q in the other direction.
Yeah, Left Lane. And what Cole just said is the affirming the consequent. So the thing I said is they're the P and Q are flipped, which is not affirming the consequent. I'll say it again. If the Earth is I'm trying to replace the words. If the Earth is a sphere, then you'll be able to see it from all four sides. The Earth is a sphere, therefore it has the four sides.
That's affirming the consequent.
If P, the Earth is a sphere, if P, the Earth is a sphere, if P, the Earth is a sphere, you'd be able to see it from all four sides. The Earth is a sphere, therefore you can see it from all four sides. Now, if you reverse it and say, if the Earth is a sphere, you'd be able to see it from all four sides. You can see it from all four sides. Therefore, the Earth is a sphere. That's affirming the consequent. Now that we've shown you what affirming the consequent is, can you please illustrate the original argument that Wesley was refuting Left Lane to prove that you're here in good faith, please?
It says the same thing.
Yes, and I just want to say real fast that.
So no, you cannot. Thank you.
If P then Q, if P then Q, P therefore Q. If the Earth is a sphere, then Q, we should be able to see it from all four sides as a circle. P then Q. You could say that we see it from all four sides as a circle, therefore it's P, therefore it's a circle.
No, that's affirming the consequent. How do you not get this?
Bro, there's no way you just
don't get it. We can't repeat it when they don't get it because they gotta learn.
Cool, I'm sorry. That's textbook affirming the consequent. You say if P then Q, Q therefore P. That's affirming the consequent.
So you want me to say it? Here's how they want us to say it.
Invested
no, don't get emotional. Yeah, here's how you say it then.
Maybe it is.
If Earth is a sphere, it will appear circular from all four sides. Earth is a sphere because we see it from all four sides, a circle from all four sides.
No, now you're just saying you're still affirming the consequent because you're saying instead of saying we see it from all four sides, therefore it is a sphere. You're saying Earth is a sphere because we see it from all four sides. That's the same thing. You're just affirming the consequent.
That's what I just said. Gio said the same thing.
That's still affirming the consequent.
He just moved the P and the Q around.
That's what the difference is between affirming the consequent and not, because modus ponens is different with the P and the Q. So we'll list them out. Okay, if the Earth is a sphere, that's P. Then it will then you'll be able to see it from all four sides. That's Q.
No, you say as a circle from all four sides.
That's fine if you want to add circle in there.
That's the main point.
Yeah, but the difference is not the first part of the statement; it's the second. But with affirming the consequent, for example, the non-affirming the consequent and the affirming the consequent have the first initial part, if P then Q. So I'm just saying, if the Earth is a sphere, P, then you'll be able to see it as a circle from all four sides, Q. That's the same on both, if P then Q. The difference is the not affirming the consequent. The latter part says the Earth is a sphere, therefore it has the four sides. That's the flipped way of saying it. If we go down, and remember the first part's the same, is to say it has four sides, therefore it's a sphere. That's the affirming the consequent. So the four sides of the circle and the sphere, the P and the Q at the end there are flipped when it's not affirming the consequent versus it being affirming the consequent. It does.
So if you say it's a sphere because we see all four sides, that's still the same. That's still the same form as we see all four sides, therefore it's a sphere. If you say it has four sides because it's a sphere, you're saying the same thing. You're just moving the words around. You're not changing the form of the argument. That's still affirming the consequent.
Well, here's the only thing I don't understand. If we know that a sphere appears that way, then stating something as a fact that something appears that way, you're just trying to twist it into a fallacy.
No.
Claiming that he's doing rhetorics is intellectual dishonesty.
We're actually just explaining to you guys what basic forms of argumentation are, and you should understand if P then Q, P therefore Q, that's modus ponens. If P then Q, Q therefore P, that's affirming the consequent. And we've laid it out probably like 10 times for you guys now. I still want to see if anyone can repeat the original argument that Wesley was refuting, if possible, please. Thank you.
Yeah, and please not insinuate rhetorics or sleight of hand or that people are deceiving your. It's only revealing your sense of paranoia. And
our sense of paranoia.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Well, I don't. To respond to what Galtrax just said, though, to keep it in like cohesion, I actually probably missed the beginning of what Wesley's argument is. I did jump in, and I was trying to pick up on it to figure out what he was saying, and then we were talking about like looking like a circle or looking like a sphere and the difference in the coordinates and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you were, I mean, what was Wesley's argument originally? I know he's not even here, but because Left Lane had picked it up, you're saying. So, did we want to?
Well, I mean,
well, Left Lane's specific claim was that my original argument was fallacious, so I would like him to repeat my original argument without help, so he can demonstrate that it was fallacious. Thank you.
No, I didn't say your argument was fallacious. I said you call fallacy on anything anybody says. Therefore, we can't know anything. That's what I said.
Yeah, but it's important when there is one, because it's an error.
But do we know
error in logic?
Yeah,
so
but Left Lane just lied because he doesn't do that. He just said that said that he does that all the time, every time, but he doesn't do that all the time. So that's another lie.
Point of moderation, you did say reformulate the argument without being fallacious in reference to me saying, when I said, you said what argument? I said it was repeated many times. If you aren't following, that's not my problem.
You're missing it. You're missing it. You're
stop, please stop talking. Please stop. Let me finish. I'm not strawmanning anything. Let me finish. You don't know I'm strawmanning you, so let me finish.
Now, I can explain how. You're strawmanning me because you called his argument fallacious. I asked you to restate his argument without being fallacious.
Okay, now let me finish because you're just lying about what was said. You said what argument? I stopped talking.
Please don't do the personal attack stuff, dude, because he's just going to want to interrupt. Just please try to stick to the information.
Okay, I just want to read what was said without him chiming through me. He said I was strawmanning him. I'm just going to read what was said, and it's not me strawmanning anything. He said, what argument? I said, it was repeated many times. If you aren't following, it's not my problem. He said, everything's fallacious. We can't know anything. I said, all or nothing fallacy. He said, exactly, thanks. I said, your errors in reasoning are not my problem. You're very welcome that I'm here to correct you. The argument remains unrefuted, though you may try to defend, you are dunked on. He said, reformulate the argument without being fallacious. That is not him referring to Wesley's argument. That's him referring to my argument.
It's your mistake.
How is that referring to Wesley's argument if Wesley's argument wasn't even mentioned in our back and forth? You were referring to my argument.
Dude, never mind. I'm done with you, dude.
Yeah, you're a liar. It wasn't referring to Wesley's argument because Wesley's argument was not
a liar.
in this line.
I'm a liar. You piece of shit.
Okay, Wesley's argument was not mentioned between these messages. You were referring to my argument. So when you said reformulate the argument without being fallacious, you were referring to my argument. You were not referring to Wesley's argument.
Interrupting
you misunderstand.
Can you guys just like chill? Galtrax, your mic is like, it's like really loud and kind of clipping. I don't know, like the gain's really high, but can we, just want to let you know that it's kind of a side thing, but, can we just like chill and see if you guys can come to some understanding? Like it's all good. Like, and just maybe try not to do the personal attacks. Left Lane, did you want to respond to it without all that?
Yeah, I don't want to call him names or anything. I just want to say he misunderstood my question. My question was specifically he called Wesley's argument fallacious. I asked him to reformulate Wesley's question without being fallacious.
No, I'm sorry. This is in the text chat, so no, that's not what happened. Everything I read is in the text chat, and Wesley's argument was not mentioned. You're referring to my argument. Sorry.
And your misunderstanding is demonstrated. Thank you.
No, this is in the text chat before Geo asked to bring it to the voice chat. So no, after Geo asked to bring it to the voice chat, you brought up Wesley's argument. So no, you're wrong. You were referring to my argument. You're not referring to Wesley's argument. It was not even brought up in the text chat. Sorry, you're wrong.
Galley,
he's telling me I'm wrong about what I meant. That's good. That's rich right there.
Okay, so how could you have been referring? You said reformulate the argument without being fallacious.
I'm done. I said I'm done.
Why do you have to do this? We were talking about my argument in the text chat. You said reformulate the argument without being fallacious. You could not have been referring to Wesley's argument because no one was talking about Wesley's argument.
Galley, he's asking you if you can reformulate Wesley's argument to not be fallacious, meaning making it sound.
Right, but not the one I said.
You have to, my argument.
You have to flip the P and the Q at the end because, like, so if the Earth is a sphere, then you'll be able to see it from all four sides. And then the difference between the two is the one says you can see it from all four sides, therefore it's a sphere. That's the affirm the consequent. To not affirm the consequent, for the last part, you'd have to say the Earth is a sphere, therefore you can see it from all four sides. The difference is that now you're asserting the Earth is a sphere, therefore the consequent of that, or the result of that, what it is it's affirming the antecedent, is what it is when it's not affirming the consequent. And now the thing is that argument, though, it's not complete because if you're saying the Earth is a sphere, well, then now the burden would be on you to validate that it is a sphere and that you see it from four sides. But just seeing it from the four sides, therefore sphere, that's the affirming the consequent. That's the only difference. It's just flipping those last two. So in terms of that argument, Left Lane, if that's what you're referring to, it would be flipping the two. Now, I wasn't here when Wesley said it originally, but if he said it the affirming the consequent way, then that's probably why it was brought up.
And it was in refutation to an argument presented that was never refuted. And Left Lane doesn't even know what the argument he's calling fallacious is. That's unfortunate.
And now we realize that they need to travel to space in order to,
Yeah, just forget that I said anything. Don't refer to me anymore, Galley.
You tagged me, and
don't refer to me anymore.
Hush. I'm allowed to respond. It's an open panel. You just addressed me, so I'm allowed to respond. You tagged me because I said, I had to step away. Was the argument refuted or rebutted? You said, what argument? There was no talk of Wesley's argument. You said, repeat the argument without being fallacious. You're referring to my argument. Sorry.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, Larry?
Oh.
Okay, so the argument stands that all so-called Glob, so-called proofs are affirming the consequent and or circular reasoning and or both.
Okay, so let's move on.
I mean, they are kind of similar in terms of those, that if you could actually see the Earth from like 4 different angles. I mean, the thing is, it could be a different shape than a sphere, but nonetheless.
In other words, you have
I mean, but left lane. But if you're on a massive plane though, and you just saw 4 different parts of the plane lit up, just like you'd see 4 different parts of the. You know what I'm saying? Like you could still see a plane from 4 different areas on a plane of Earth.
Yeah, I think just trying to imagine what it. I mean, you would have to get far enough away that you could see the entire thing, but what it would look from the sides or beneath that plane of existence, I have no idea. So I don't know what it would look like from up way up high, 10,000 miles. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess the difference is on a globe, like you would have to actually change your angle of your position. You know, like let's say in theory you're an astronaut out there around the globe. If you were to go around it, you'd have to, you know how the moon stays tidally locked, but the moon is also rotating because as it goes around the globe, in order to in that model, in order for it to stay tidally locked, the moon itself is actually rotating on its axis, but it's rotating on its axis at the perfect rate to where we only see the one side of it. You know how they claim that? Well, if you were an astronaut out there and you were tidally locked to the globe, you know, as you either you went around it or the ball spun. Okay, if the ball just spun, your angle would stay the same to it, and then the ball would be spinning. But if you stayed in one position, but if you actually orbited, as it were, around it, then you would actually also be on a slight axis of rotation as you're seeing the globe from all angles. Now, that would pretty much validate a globe. Like if you could confirm that a person or something could go out there and actually, you know, rotate on its axis while it's going around a sphere. I mean, that's what a sphere is, you know, at that point. So you're definitely on a sphere if you're doing that, or something. I mean, it could be a oblate or something like that. But I'm saying, especially if you could do it from north, south, and east, west. But on a planar Earth, you would just be looking down the whole time. You know, you'd just be looking one direction down, and then it wouldn't spin beneath you. You'd have to move around it, always looking down. Different than move around it on a globe where you have to turn on your axis. That would be the difference. Do you agree with that?
Sent your message, Leftlin.
Yeah, I think so. I think I get what you're saying. I think if you move beyond its borders, you know, laterally off away from it, that it would maybe even look like an ellipse, or if it was around, you know, round on its borders, it would look like an ellipse. But I don't know. Well,
because the thing is, if you were from a planar Earth, you could actually see 4 parts of the Earth in 4 circles. Cole, do you agree with that too? You would. So on a globe, like I know what you mean. If you were to see it from north, south, east, west, like all the way around, you would see 4 circles. Yes, they'd be spherical kind of circles, but they'd be circles. But on a planar Earth, you could travel around, like let's say around Polaris during the northern summer, and you could look down and see 4 different circular parts of Earth, right? So it would be the same on a plane, but that's why you'd have to give an argument. Well, that's why the one that was not affirmed the consequence says the Earth is this object is a sphere, or this Earth is a sphere. Therefore, you're going to see it from all those angles.
But the argument was from any angle. So on a sphere, you can go out into space as far as you want, as long as you can still see the Earth from any direction, any angle, up, down, left, right, forward, back, anywhere. If it's flat and it's a plane, you'll see an oval shape. You know, if you start moving away from the center, looking straight down, because that's how flat circles work.
Yeah, if you think that the Earth is a disk flying through outer space.
Are you saying if you're looking at it like an angle off to the horizon, or are you looking straight down? Because on the globe thing, it would look skewed too if you were looking down along the horizon. But if you're just looking at it from straight down, it wouldn't really look.
If you're far enough away from the Earth to see one half side of the Earth, because obviously you can't see the backside, it would always look circle. No matter where you moved, no matter which way you went, it would always look circle. As long as you're high enough up to see one half side of the Earth. If you're high enough up and the Earth was flat and a disc shaped, I have to add that in there because I don't know what shape you might think it is. But if it's a flat disc shape, then if you're high enough up to see the whole disc shape, if you move away from the center point, it'll appear to be an oval shape. That's just geometry.
It's flying through a vacuum in outer space.
Yeah, but that's just equivalent on the globe to like that's what I was saying before. If you were like between the globe and the sun in the globe model, you're between them and you're looking straight at it. That's when it would look like a circle. If you're off of center, like if you're over on one side or the other, it's going to look like it has a phase. It's going to have like half of it'll be dark. So so that's just the equivalent on On a plane, on a planar Earth, if you're right under the sun, like it's like sun's directly above you at high noon, and then the Earth's directly above you, that would be the equivalent, and then you're in between it. But it's a flat plane and it's a more local sun. Then you would see, quite a dramatic circle because you see the whole extent of the sun, as far as it seems. But if you then waited for the sun to move on, it's not really going to look like a half a ball lit up, but it's going to have like a Terminator line. And if that's what you're calling an oval, then there's that would happen on that too.
Well, I'm just saying that was his argument way a while ago. The other guy, that thing's gone now, and that was the argument that he was making, and that's what I've been following this whole time. It's just his argument. But
all right,
now,
so if you made it now, just starting fresh, how would you make it? The argument, if you were to say it now, just starting fresh.
I would have to say that you would have to imagine the Earth is always lit on one side. No matter where you're at, you would have to be on the daylight side. So if you're on the other side looking at it, you wouldn't see a Terminator line. You would have to look at it at a certain time of day where it would be fully lit. But no matter where you're at, when it's fully lit at any direction looking at it, as long as it's fully lit on that side that you're on, you'll always see a circle.
Wouldn't that be on a flat plane too? Because if you were directly under the sun, that's the equivalent.
No, because on a flat disk, if you look at it, even if it's fully lit, if you look at it from angles, it appears to be oval shaped. That's how geometry works.
Or no one's looking at it from angles, because if you look at the globe from angles, or you look at it off to the side, then you're going to have like a phase to it, or part of it will be shadowed. And on a planar Earth as well, you'd have a Terminator line. But to make them both equivalent, the globe one, like I said, it would be the big spherical sun, a human, and the globe Earth all in a line. That's the equivalent to where you would see a circle, as it were. If you're anywhere off tilt of that, you're going to see something different. But on a planar Earth, the equivalent would be the sun would be directly above you. You'd be right under the sun, like at high noon, and then the Earth would be below you. And in order to make them equivalent, on the globe Earth one, you'd have to like orbit around the ball, following the sun path, whatever. And on a planar Earth, you would have to just move along the plane to follow the sun. And they would both look like circles the whole time if you follow the sun.
To begin with, I specifically said no matter where you look at the Earth, it would have to be fully lit. So that was the first thing I said.
They would both look like circles.
No, because a flat plane, even if the sun is always over your head, lighting up the whole thing all the time, a flat disk is only in a circle shape if you're over the center looking straight down. As soon as you start moving off to any side, it begins to look like an oval shape.
What if it's an infinite
simply geometry?
Now, what if it's an infinite plane?
I don't know.
Yeah, but if you move to the side on a globe, it's going to start to deform too, and you're going to get you can call it an oval, but you're going to get the well, it does turn into an oval because originally your thing was if you're right lined up under the sun. Okay, if you're going to take that for the planar and the globe, then you would see the circle. But if you're going to go, like you kept saying, see it at an angle, that implies now that you're not right under the sun, you're going to be off kilter. And with the globe, like it would start to, you'd see shadow on the one side, like it would start, the Terminator line. And then at that point, yeah, it's not going to look like a circle. It's going to start to look like, more like an oval because the Terminator line's coming in. I don't know if I'd really call it an oval, but like I guess when the moon, so if you see like during a full moon, when the moon's like really full, I'm not saying the moon is a sphere, but it does kind of have certain, in terms of the phasing, and so on. So anyways, if you see the moon as a full moon, and then as the phase after the full moon, the phase starts to come in, the side of it starts to become, darkened, and I guess you could interpret that as an oval, but it's not really a perfect oval.
Yeah.
Whereas on a planar Earth, if you're right above it, it's a circle, and then as the sun would start to, move on, and if you stayed in your same position, which is the equivalent of like, the sun moves in the planar Earth, stationary planar Earth, whereas obviously the Earth is spinning in the globe one, but you just have to replace them, which one they are. But the globe or the planar Earth, if you start looking at a different angle, of course they're going to look different. They're both going to have somewhat of an oval shape to the sun pattern, even though there will be differences. One is planar, one is globe. But I'm just saying there's some overlap there.
I keep leading off my statement constantly with saying that you're only looking at it when one side is completely lit. Quit thinking that you're looking at it and seeing a Terminator line. I'm not saying when you look at it and seeing a Terminator line. I'm saying anytime you look at the Earth from any direction, as long as it's lit by the sun on that direction, on that side that you're on completely, you will see a circle. You can do it with a basketball on a dinner plate. If you're in a brightly lit room to where there won't be no shadow on that basketball, and you hold the basketball up in the middle of the room, no matter where you're at in the room, you could be in the corner, you can be in the ceiling, you can be in the floor, you can be in the corner of the floor, anywhere. And you look at that basketball, the silhouette of that basketball would just be a circle. If you take a flat plate and you look at it from any direction, unless you're looking straight down from the North Pole directly down at it, any other direction looking at the plate, it will not appear to be a perfect circle. It will appear to be an oval.
Can I say? But there's one thing about the globe though, because you have to reference it to the sun to make it like a globe. There's only two sides to the globe. There's literally only two sides to the globe, north and south.
Okay.
right? You can't have four sides to the globe in the heliocentric model in our solar system. You can only have north and south, southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere. That's it. And
I don't know. I don't know if you realize this or not, but a spherical object, you can look at it from any direction.
Yeah, but you're inserting four sides on there to say it's a sphere.
We're just talking. I don't know if you just came into the conversation and you missed the entire
No,
last
I've been
hour.
listening the whole
We're
time.
just talking.
I've been listening the whole time, and it's fallacious from the beginning because you're
Of
actually
course
not
it
just
is.
talking about a sphere.
Okay, I'm dropping
You're
out. I heard
talking
the
about the
F
world in
word.
which we
I'm
live
out.
in.
I heard the F word. I'm
He's
out.
actually talking about the world in which we live in, which has some dynamics to this assumption. It's not just a sphere; it's a sphere in the heliocentric model. That's what we want to talk about.
I appreciate it, Gio. I liked our conversation.
It hurts to be fallacious.
I would like to.
Will appear to be an oval.
Can I say? But there's one thing about the globe though, because you have to reference it to the sun to make it like a globe. There's only two sides to the globe. There's literally only two sides to the globe, north and south.
Okay.
Right, you can't have four sides to the globe in the heliocentric model in our solar system. You can only have north and south, southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere. That's it. And
I don't know. I don't know if you realize this or not, but a spherical object, you can look at it from any direction.
Yeah, but you're inserting four sides on there to say it's a sphere.
We're just talking. I don't know if you just came into the conversation and you missed the entire
No,
last
I've been
hour.
listening the whole
We're
time.
just talking.
I've been listening the whole time, and it's fallacious from the beginning because you're actually
course
not
it
just
is.
talking about a sphere.
Okay, I'm dropping
You're
out. I heard
talking about
the F
world in
word.
which we
I'm
live
out.
in.
I heard the F word. I'm
He's
out.
actually talking about the world in which we live in, which has some dynamics to this assumption. It's not just a sphere; it's a sphere in the heliocentric model. That's what we want to talk about.
Okay, if you're going to take that for the planar and the globe, then you would see the circle. But if you're going to go, like you kept saying, see it at an angle, that implies now that you're not right under the sun, you're going to be off kilter. And with the globe, like it would start to, you'd see shadow on the one side, like it would start, the Terminator line. And then at that point, yeah, it's not going to look like a circle. It's going to start to look like, more like an oval because the Terminator line's coming in. I don't know if I'd really call it an oval, but like I guess when the moon, like, so if you see like during a full moon, when the moon's like really full, I'm not saying the moon is a sphere, but it does kind of have certain, in terms of the phasing and so on, like. So anyways, if you see the moon as a full moon, and then as the phase after the full moon, the phase starts to come in, the side of it starts to become, darkened. And I guess you could interpret that as an oval, but it's not really a perfect oval.
Yeah.
Whereas on a planar Earth, if you're right above it, it's a circle. And then as the sun would start to, move on, and if you stayed in your same position, which is the equivalent of like, the sun moves in the planar Earth, stationary planar Earth, whereas obviously the Earth is spinning in the globe one, but you just have to replace them, which one they are. But the globe or the planar Earth, if you start looking at a different angle, of course they're going to look different. They're both going to have somewhat of an oval shape to the sun pattern, even though there will be differences. One is planar, one is globe. But I'm just saying there's some overlap there.
I keep leading off my statement constantly with saying that you're only looking at it when it's one side is completely lit. Quit thinking that you're looking at it and seeing a Terminator line. I'm not saying when you look at it and seeing a Terminator line. I'm saying anytime you look at the Earth from any direction, as long as it's lit by the sun on that direction, on that side that you're on completely, you will see a circle. You can do it with a basketball on a dinner plate. If you're in a brightly lit room to where there won't be no shadow on that basketball, and you hold the basketball up in the middle of the room, no matter where you're at in the room, you could be in the corner, you can be in the ceiling, you can be in the floor, you can be in the corner of the floor, anywhere, and you look at that basketball, the silhouette of that basketball would just be a circle. If you take a flat plate and you look at it from any direction, unless you're looking straight down from the North Pole directly down at it, any other direction looking at the plate, it will not appear to be a perfect circle. It will appear to be an oval.
But there's one thing about the globe though, because you have to reference it to the sun to make it like a globe.
Looking at it or who it is. Rob, what's the problem with having four sides? Like if someone, okay, if you're cutting someone's hair, let's say, and their head, if we're going to say their head is like a sphere, you don't have to be cutting their hair, but you can look at them from at their face. You can go 90 degrees and see the right side of their head with their ear on the right side. You can go behind them and see the back of their head. Then you can go to the left side and see their left ear, and then go back to the front of their face. What's the problem with calling that four sides of a sphere?
That's all relevant. Yeah, thank you. Like I said, you guys can call them sides, but on a sphere, not a head of a person. On a sphere, there's no relative position that you can attribute to reference a side. And what I'm saying is that I consider a sphere to be a single face object. Therefore, only one side. It only has one face.
Well, just because it's one continuous surface.
Yes.
Okay, it's one continuous surface, but doesn't it?
That was all I was referring to. If you want to say that it has a continent on one side and a continent on the other. Well, we're not talking about a sphere. We're talking about the globe, Earth, and then you're referencing one point to another. So yeah, you could call those.
But if you
wouldn't
hold in a sphere,
wouldn't the globe
though,
have like infinite sides because you could look at it from any angle of the one continuous surface?
Can I get in just for a second, please?
if you,
so
I was trying to say about the sphere. If you hold in a sphere, one side of the sphere is facing the floor, the other one is facing the ceiling, another side is facing the walls, right? So doesn't that? I mean, it's you will argue that there's different faces to the sphere because different sides are facing different areas. But he's saying it's one smooth surface, so I guess both arguments kind of have something there.
So this is kind of an arbitrary thing that you can do with a sphere. Like you can lace it up in like a bilateral hemisphere. That way it has like 4 parts to it. So there's going to be a north and south and an east and west. In fact, I think that's generally how people who believe in the globe think about the sphere as 2 hemispheres. Sorry, 2 hemispheres, one on top, one on the bottom, and then 2 more hemispheres, one on the east and one on the west. Please continue.
Oh, that can't be possible because then you'd have Argentina in the same place at the same time in 2 different hemispheres.
I don't know what's hard about this. The side of the Earth that you would observe, or the sphere, would be relative to your position. And we don't have to go into cardinal directions or poles or anything. It's just depending on the observer's position to what portion he would observe.
Yes, it can be in 2 places. It can be in 2 hemispheres at once because the place where it's at is not arbitrary or random. But how you label the Earth with your hemispheres is, pretty much random. However you want to do it. I'm just saying that's how Globers think. Go ahead.
No, you wouldn't see the equator. You won't see necessarily a pole or latitude, longitude. You see no borders. You just see a sphere with planets and water, with continents and water. That's all you see.
Those wouldn't be spheres, though, because spheres don't do that. I mean, we know that, right?
Well, unless they have gravity, yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, I was just trying to help the flat earthers who got a flat Earth mindset kind of understand the mindset of the Globers. So yeah, I mean, technically you could put as many hemispheres on the globe as possible. You can divide it up 24 different ways. I mean, it's arbitrary. It's how you want to think about it.
That's true.
Mindset
You
of
see
Globers
infinite ways.
is one that they actually think that they have photos of the globe. That's the mindset of the Globers, and that's never going to change their mind to say that those photos aren't supported by actual evidence.
Except for
if the Earth was a sphere, there will be no water on the surface of the Earth. We have water on the surface of the Earth, therefore the Earth is not a sphere.
Hey, Jimsy, it sounds like you need some chupacabra spray. I think he's taking too much blood. I know it's not the brainworms.
Is the lady taking the blood?
Please continue. Please continue.
If the Earth was a chupacabra,
maybe you could
I never heard
structure
that one before.
Sorry. Well, I was saying, I was just saying, like, maybe you could structure it like, okay, if the Earth was a sphere, you'd be able to see it from 4 90-degree angles, centered on the core of the Earth, basically. So, like, you'd be able to see it from 4 90-degree angles. The Earth is a sphere, therefore you can see it from these 4 90-degree angles. That would be not affirming the consequent, and that would be a valid modus ponens. The thing with that, if you made that argument, though, you would then have to in some way validate that the thing is a sphere, because that's what you're stating, that it is the sphere. Therefore, you can see it from the 4 sides. Whereas the affirming the consequent one, the affirming the consequent one, it says we see it from 4 sides, therefore sphere, and that's where the logical error comes in. And I know why it could sound like it's solid, but the issue is that it could be something else that you're seeing from 4 sides, and that's where the issue is, versus the other one that doesn't have that.
We're not saying you see it from 4 sides. We're saying you see it as a circle from 4 sides. Those are completely 2 different arguments.
Well, I'm still waiting to see the bendy waters. Like on the way towards seeing it as a sphere, before you get to that stage, you should see the bendy water, and that still doesn't happen either.
Actually, it does happen. But wouldn't it require like a
You don't want to have a pretty sure 400 meters is enough to check if it's straight or curved. I have a question, Cole. Do you know of any instances on the Globe model that would and first of all, hey man, sorry I didn't mean to just jump in, but I want to ask you, do you know of any instances that you could maybe cite or that you personally might know of that the caustic effect of the Earth receiving more than 80% light at certain parts of the year or certain like leap years, or could you make that make sense on a globe at all?
Yeah, I don't even. I know what coffee cup caustics are. I know what you're talking about, but I don't exactly know what you're.
I was trying to get in. Yeah. Okay, I was trying to get in. Yeah, that's very similar. What you just said was very similar on a flat plane in terms of the angle of the sun, Cole. So a lot of those components are not different. Yeah, go ahead.